Hello. Welcome to Reading Sprints. It's so nice to be on screen with you, Sharon, again. I was looking at the last time I messaged you was I think the last time we were on screen together, and I thought that's
Boxing
not
Day,
right.
wasn't it? Wasn't it Boxing Day?
Yeah, it might have
Didn't we
been.
do
So it's
Boxing Day? Yeah,
oh yeah, so it's
yeah.
been a month to the day since we've done
Woo!
this.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I was boogieing along to the music. I do love your starting music.
Oh, Kev did such a good job with that, didn't he? I can't. Anytime anybody comments on my editing or like the things that pop up on screen, I'm like, no, I really wish I could.
Every time I
I've got,
hear it, I want to watch Buffy. Every
yeah, I
time I'm like,
know.
oh, I must get Buffy out.
You know what? Because I'm posting a lot about Buffy at the minute, I'm getting all this Buffy stuff recommended to me, and it's
Yeah.
making me crave a rewatch. But part of me wants to save it until I can watch it with Nathan next. And I'm like, but that's probably 5 or 6
Ah,
years. I don't know whether I can wait that long. I do watch odd episodes on the regular. Like me, whenever I'm with friends, we tend to, if we're watching TV, we stick a Buffy episode on. But I haven't done a rewatch for a few years, so I'm
I'm
thinking
really loving
it's
the
time.
rewatch with Charmed. You know, Shelley's doing with
Yes,
Josh, the
yeah.
rewatch of Charmed. And I'm really loving that. I've got all of them on DVD and I haven't watched them for years. I mean, like 10, 15 years, maybe. I'm really enjoying that. So it was really lovely just having a chat with a load of people about something we all loved, you know. Um, so I'm really, really enjoying that. So that makes me think I should watch Buffy again, you know. And I don't watch a lot of telly, but every time a Buffy episode's on, I'll watch it.
See, I'm rewatching True Blood because it kind of has a vibe similar to something I'm trying to write. And you know how True Blood has those lovely cozy family moments, but then it
Yeah,
has violence and it has the relationships and the intense,
yeah.
I don't think I'd be quite as intense as it is because sometimes I wince at the bloodiness and at the sex. I'm a bit like, oh, it's a bit much in both regards.
It's a little, oh, it's a bit explicit. I
Yeah.
lost interest, I think, in I liked the first few seasons and then it got a bit weird for
It
me.
gets a bit silly, and
Yeah,
the books do to some extent, but I think the books keep it a little bit more grounded in
yeah.
Suki's character that I knew and loved all the way through. I think the TV show loses her a little bit, like it doesn't feel like she's
No.
the same. And by the end, I was like, I don't even know who she gets with because the way they end it is really ambiguous. I think the books stay more consistently good throughout,
Oh, I've never read the
personally.
books. I love the first season. The first season I think is brilliant.
Oh,
Absolutely brilliant.
it's the murder mystery aspect of it. I've
Yeah.
just finished season one, and I'm like, I think it absolutely peaks there because it's got that overarching crime that's just circling closer and closer to Sookie all the time. It's so well done.
Yeah.
Um, and I
So
think the other
good.
series could have benefited from that. The books do tend to have, they were originally called, I think, the Sookie Stackhouse Mysteries. So I think each
Oh,
book I don't know whether everyone does, but certainly a lot of them I can remember. Like there's one where there's a nightclub and she's brought in to do some mind reading because they're trying to find out something that's happened at the club. It's not Fantasia, it's like some other club in the city or something. And I think each one, certainly a lot of them do have a mystery aspect, but I think it's definitely worth reading. See if you like the voice because I started rereading one the other day and I was like, oh man, this voice. It's so distinctive, and I think it's one of those love or hate ones, and I love it because it just feels like you're in Suki's head straight away. It's just some of it's a little bit dated. Like I think it was 90s or early 2000s.
yeah. A lot of it is now. It's like point horror in it and the same thing. One of
Yeah.
one of my author friends sent me two vintage 90s YA fiction from the US.
All right. Okay.
I've never heard of him. It's called Avon Flare, and it was
Okay.
around
No,
the
I
same
haven't.
time as Point Horror, and it's a duology. But it's the same kind of vibe as Point Horror. So I've actually got in contact with Shelley and say, "Have you heard of this?" Because it's actually exactly the same kind of vibe. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was a nice surprise today.
Yeah, that was lovely. I think a lot of places did try to replicate the point
Yeah,
horror
Point
vibe,
Horror.
and I think it was R.L. Stein that did it most successfully because I think
Yeah,
the Goosebumps and Fear Street they just managed to expand out using
they
him.
did.
And some people reckon he didn't write them all. I don't know. We'll really have a strong opinion on it, but he's
Don't think it
certainly
matters, does it?
well, yeah,
Don't think it
exactly.
matters. People have
Certainly
ghostwriters all the
socially.
time. It doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, and I think that they all have the vibe. People
Yeah.
like Cameron Chaney, who knows the book so
Yes.
intimately. He'll be able to tell you the ones he's got theories are ghost written and the ones that aren't. But I just read them and enjoy them because R.L. Stein's books tend to be quite on the silly side, which I enjoy. There's like a death by piranha or somebody who gets put in washing machine or something.
Which I really like. Have you watched the new series on Disney? The Goosebumps.
What's that? Oh, yes, I have. Have you?
Watched it yet? No, because I've forgotten it was on. But I
Yeah.
noticed today. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to catch up on that. It's interesting to see David Schwimmer in something. I hated Friends. I think I'm quite.
Oh, really?
But it's interesting to see him in a different character, so that's quite fun. So I will be catching up on that. I'd forgotten it was coming.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. It's one of those like that's quite easy watch. You know, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
it's groundbreaking, but it's just fun. But I'm really enjoying Dexter. Oh, is it called Original Sin? I always get mixed up. There's Dexter New Blood and there's whatever the new Dexter is anyway. It's got Sarah Michelle Gellar in. It's got Patrick Dempsey in.
Oh wow!
Christian Slater plays Dexter's dad.
Christian Slater's still going, is he?
Yeah. So although he's playing the dad now, he's not playing the love interest anymore. He's playing the dad.
Well, he's probably getting on now, isn't he? Bless him.
Well, I don't know.
He's probably. He must be my age. He must be near me.
Yeah, I think he is. But he gets some scene Sharon in it, and he looks good. And he plays a great. I don't know whether have you watched the original Dexter?
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
I mainly watched for him because I loved him in that. In that other one he was in.
6 Feet Under.
Loved 6 Feet Under.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, there's very little out there like that. It's so dark, but
it is dark.
6 Feet
Lovely
Under,
ending.
Though,
lovely ending.
Yeah, there's something about 6 Feet Under that I normally can't cope with Bleak, as you know, but I could cope with it with 6 Feet Under because there was still love between the family, and they were really helping people, although it was sad and they were at a funeral home. They were trying to help people and give them a really nice send off, and I think that I kind of held on to like the nice, happy aspects about it.
It was very hopeful, I thought.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And I just loved it. It's like, I thought of you today, actually. I finished a book today called The Last Murder at the End of the World.
All right.
And it's kind of like Lost without the crap ending and a plane crash, right?
I mean, that sounds ideal.
It's a sci-fi whodunit on this last island that exists after this fog has killed the rest of humanity. 122 humans run by AI. And it is just absolutely brilliant. And these 3 scientists who run everything, and you turn out, there's all these machinations going on. Absolutely brilliant.
I'm always chasing the Lost vibe is something that I don't know whether it'll ever be replicated, but I think the cast are incredible. And I think that the way the layers would just peel back of each character, that you made an assumption about everybody, and then you had that to completely turn on its head or leaned into in some cases. It was absolutely awesome.
This is just a beautiful puzzle. So,
yeah.
And there's different revelations that happen, and you find out different things, and it has that lovely, sumptuous kind of layering that Lost had, but it has a better ending.
Yeah, well, I mean, the ending of Lost, by the end, I'd sort of given up on it anyway. As soon as they went time travel, I was like, yeah, I think I'm out here. Like,
It was too much.
Yeah,
they should have stopped after the 3rd season.
Yeah,
that was when it was good.
Yeah, it was originally meant to be 2 or 3 seasons, wasn't it? And J.J. Abrams was very clear all the way that it was going to be this short, sharp shock. And then, of course, it did well, and the production company wanted more, so he just eked it out. And I think J.J. Abrams is incredible, but eking it out with him, like the same thing happened with Alias. It doesn't ever seem to work with his stuff. Like
another series I loved. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely love Sydney Prescott.
Oh, she's one of my favorite characters of all time. I loved her and Vaughn as a dynamic. Was just brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. The double cross.
Yeah.
Just absolutely fabulous series. Yeah, I haven't watched that for years either.
But then by the end, they're resorting to like everybody's wearing a mask of each, Mission Impossible, where like he takes off a mask and then he takes off another mask and then another mask, and he's like 3 different people underneath. Like,
just weird. Did you ever watch that series Dollhouse?
Yes,
I love that too.
Joss Whedon one. Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
it was so sad.
We had some fantastic TV shows, didn't we, in the 90s and early 2000s? I
mean,
really
like that.
Different.
Cancelled. Yeah, really good, really different. But just cancelled too soon, like chop, done after a season.
I love Elisha Dushku, so I love doing that. I thought that was a brilliant premise.
Did you watch True Calling that she was in?
Yes, I did. Yes, that was
Yeah.
only a season as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, again, that had
Yeah.
loads of potential, I thought, because she had
Yeah.
an ability, didn't she? I don't remember exactly what her ability was, but it was something to do with, was it reading a bit, like she could
She could
talk
tell
to.
what's coming. She was premonition, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. And I think it sort of developed and grew as the series went on. And I love stuff like that where somebody's powers just got new depths. And she's great. And apparently now she's not acting at all. I saw a little video came up being interviewed by some magazine. I don't know whether it said she's a lawyer now or something. Like she's kind of changing the world and doing a thing, but she's just not in the public eye at all. And this magazine had interviewed her, and she was talking about some of the toxicity of being famous and how she didn't like vibe with it in the end.
I'm
So
sure.
she got out of it. It must really mess with your head, I think, being in the public eye. I'm lucky that what I do is obviously not anywhere near on that scale. And I think being an author, you've kind of got the protection of your book. Like people, even when I'm at Comic-Con, people recognize me at places like that, but it's not anything like my face just being splashed everywhere. Like I think
the book community is quite respectful as well.
Yes, exactly.
I think that we like to be with authors, but it's a respectful relationship, I think. So whereas I think that if you are majorly, I hate the word famous, but majorly well known, then all bets are off, aren't they? And I think that the invasion of privacy must be awful. Can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't think people can separate the character somebody plays from the person
Yeah.
they are. And I do feel that because I met Alison Hannigan, who plays Willow, and I just felt like I knew her when I met her, and I had to really resist like being completely ridiculous, like talking as if she was my best friend, because I was like, I just feel like I
she's
know
not
you.
Willow, is she?
Yeah, she isn't. Like, not even a little bit. And like I love her in How I Met Your Mother as well. So like
Me too.
and I feel like she's one of those actresses I just really respect. So she was one where I felt really weird when I met her. Like I just need to calm down and be. And I felt like that with Kevin Smith as well, because I love his work.
Yeah.
He came out, and a lot of the time when you have your photographs at these places, you just meet the actor in there and you never really see them. He came out and was like, look, let's have a good day, everybody. Let's all be really respectful of each other. I know you can be waiting for a long time. I'm really sorry. And he was just really exuberant and lovely, and then went back in. And then he gave everybody a really nice amount of time. A lot of the time it's snap and walk away. And he had a conversation, high-fived everybody. And it just makes for a nice experience, doesn't it?
I've met a few people like that where they have that kind of energy where it's just like,
yeah,
they're incredibly grateful. There's a gratitude to it, I think.
Yeah, I think it is. You've absolutely hit the nail on the head. Whereas some actors I've met, and they're sitting there and they're chewing gum, and you just immediately get a vibe of they're slouching at the table, they're chewing, they're not giving you eye contact as they sign this thing and pass you it. And there's not many actually like that. There's only a couple. I've been to loads of conventions, as you know, over the years. And there's only been one. There's only one or two where I've gone, oh, I didn't vibe with you. Some of the men being a bit creepy, and I met Alison Mack, who is now
in prison.
And she's was in that NXIVM cult and the rest of it. Like, and she must have been involved in that when I met her, and I saw her do panels, and it's amazing how she pulled the wool over so many people's eyes, because she just came across as so down to earth and normal and humble. And I know normal's a word.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, exactly. It's so scary. Like, was she there recruiting? Like, I was assumingly deemed like not worthy, thank goodness.
Hello to Auntie Amy.
She's so beautiful. I don't want to see.
This is Shira, Princess of Power.
Oh,
so all my cats have got mad names because Carl named them.
I mean, why not? I love a ginger cat. Honestly, ginger cats.
Actually, funny story not it's a funny story, a sad story. I work for a council, as you know, and I used to work in social services.
Yeah.
And one of my teenagers who I looked after bought this cat in a carrier bag in a pub at 6 weeks old, and she'd been beaten, she was brain damaged. And she says, can you look after her till I find her home? Anyway, she came to me and she's never left. And she's so I had to feed her for quite a few weeks, because she was still, her eyes had just opened and she'd been bashed about a bit. But yeah, she's my angel. So she's 11 this year, aren't you, Angel?
How can people treat animals like that? I just don't understand.
I don't know, but she's my shadow. She's completely obsessed with me.
I can tell. Feel the love coming off the screen.
Yeah, I love her to bits. She's gorgeous, aren't you? I am trying to talk though under television. See, I don't know. You see, come and sit down then.
That's the thing with cats. Like, I think when a cat loves you unconditionally, you know you've earned it and you deserve it, because cats can be so aloof, can't they? And
they do love you. You know, people always think cats love you, but they'd love you in a different way.
Yeah, they do. And you know when a cat dotes attention on you that you've earned it, because, you know, they're not always like that with everybody,
She just perches on my boobs like a parrot.
Just part parrot, part cat.
Pot. Yeah. A parrot. A little parrot. What are you doing?
Let's see what the people in the comments are saying, then we'll find out what we're doing. And then here's Brent. Hello. Hi, Nadine.
Hi, Nadine.
Do you know what? Oh. I'm reading a Gillian Flynn book as well.
I like Gillian Flynn. Yeah.
This is for a book club. It's whose book club is it? Come on, brain. Why am I not functioning? Oh, it'll come back to me. Why can I not even remember what book club it is? I can picture her. Gabby reads. It's her book club. I'm so tired, Sharon. I can't even. And yeah, I like it. It's quite dark for me. Like, nothing. I mean, it starts really intense. This one. It starts with a family being murdered, which is, of course, not really my jam. However, I read the first chapter and went, oh, I might DNF this. This might not be for me. But actually, the way it's done didn't feel like I couldn't handle it. But it is dark and like there's not a lot of joy thus far.
She writes really good thrillers, really good adult thrillers.
Well, the reason I'm not, I'm 120 pages in after only a couple of hours of reading, and for me that's pretty good.
That's caught you then. That's grabbed your attention, hasn't it?
I can't stop reading it, even though it isn't my favourite subject matter. So yeah, she's definitely got me, Nadine. I've read one other of her books, I think, and I won't be able to tell you which one it is.
Could you respect the live, please, Shira?
It's fine. I'm just enjoying seeing like little flounces of cat across the screen. Oh, it is so
I love that film.
One of my top 3 slashers. I reckon it's Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then that.
The second one's good too, Caroline. The third one's rubbish. But the second one is good.
I don't think I've seen it.
The second one is in the film school.
Oh no, I don't think I have.
And there's kind of Easter eggs from the first one in there, which is really good. But the first one is still better. She just plays insane so well.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, we've lost Sharon. Oh no. Technology. I hope she pops back in a second. Let's go through the comments and see if we can get Sharon back. Yeah, honestly, I absolutely love the 40-minute shows. Every time Kevin and I put on a new TV show and it's an hour and 10 minutes, we're like, oh no, I'm never going to be able to watch this in one go. Hello, lost you for a second there.
The cat disconnected my computer. So
I should have guessed that. I was like, where's Sharon gone? And I'd just seen the cat evidence of it. I should know. We were just lamenting the lack of 40-minute TV shows, because an hour and 10 minutes, I'm not going to sit down for an hour and 10 consecutive minutes.
40 minutes was ideal. It was ideal.
Was so good.
You could sit and have your tea. It's just enough time, isn't it?
I think an hour and 10 minutes is fine if the pacing is good, but if it ends up being sort of saggy because they've got that extra time, it just doesn't warrant it at all. Like with books, I don't mind reading a longer book if, like, this one is slightly longer than I normally read, but every page is necessary so far.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's the same with TV, really. Hello, happy weekend. I'm so glad it's the weekend, Marlene. Very, very happy.
How pretty do your bookshelves look, Marlene?
Lovely, aren't they? I like the lighting.
I like the lighting. It's gorgeous.
Is Black Sun that steamy vampire book, Marlene? Because I feel like somebody told me to buy. Well, I could be totally wrong here, Sharon, because I'm sure I bought a vampire book with a similar title to that and haven't read it yet. And I wonder if that's the same one.
If it's a vampire book, I suspect you're right.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. I generally, if I hear vampires, I just order it. Let me know what you think, Nadine, when you get to it, because I'm finding it dark, but absolutely gripping. The premise is that this one family member is left alive after this horrible event, and she's just sort of, it's how she copes with it, and the fact that she'd buried it all for a long time, and as an adult, she's starting to kind of open the doors of her memory, and it's really good, really, really good. So yeah, I think I can feel myself that I'm going to go down a bit of a rabbit hole of Gillian Flynn, I think, now. If I can, that's the thing. If it's not too dark for me by the end, we'll see.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's worth. It's not as good as the first one, Caroline. I don't think, but the kills are gruesome, really
I need.
gruesome in the
I
second
think I
one.
need to rewatch. We can't even say rewatch. Help me. I think I need to rewatch the first one and then watch the second one after it, so that I can get those nods, because I think that would be
We
really
did
fun.
the film club and Podara Film Club. So I
Yeah.
bought the trilogy in DVD because it was cheaper to buy than just buy one. I got it from eBay, and I think it cost me
All right.
£7 for the trilogy. I'd watch. I remember seeing them in the cinema when they were released. But the third one, which is called Bloody Mary, is not good. Not good.
See, that's why I've not watched the second one, because I tend to find, apart from the Scream films, horror sequels, I just can't tolerate. Everyone I've tried, like the Halloween ones with being the exception, but I don't love them. I do enjoy them, but I don't
Yeah.
know how much new they add. And I generally find they just annoy me, sequels. So it says the person who's written 2 sequels, but I don't know. With horror movies, I just don't always think there's lots of material to go on. I don't
There's
know.
very
Please
few
stop.
when you think about it. There's very few films where the sequel was better.
Yeah.
Star Wars sequel's better.
Yeah, that's what they
Um,
said in Scream 2. They came to the conclusion of Star
Goodfellas
Wars.
season
Yeah,
2 better.
yeah,
Um, yes, there's very few that Aliens is better. I
yeah.
love the
And
original film, but the second film is brilliant.
I don't know if they mention aliens in Scream. I can't remember whether that's, but they definitely say The Godfather Part 2, Star
Godfather,
Wars,
yeah,
and yeah, and I guess Alien. Although again, I think I've only seen Aliens once. I've watched Alien a couple of times.
yeah.
I find those films terrifying. I really, really do.
Oh, they're
Like,
good fun. Yeah,
it's just the fact of something being in somebody's body that they're not in control of and they don't know it's there. Yeah, honestly, Marlene,
I'm the
I
same.
did. I used to be, but roughly 5 years ago, I stopped binging TV shows, and having a small child doesn't really lend itself to that. We binge
No,
watch it. We binge watch Bluey these days, and we binge watch
Bluey.
whatever YouTuber he's into, but they're really short, so it's fine.
You know, what I find difficult about it is that, especially like a Netflix binge, right? Is that first couple of episodes will be really good, and the last couple of episodes will be really good, and then 3 or 4 in the middle are crap, and they're just filler. So I tend to watch the first two and then skip to the end.
I mean, I tend to find where if I'm engrossed, fine, I properly watch it. Like Dexter, we're going to watch tonight probably, and I'll sit and
Yeah.
properly watch it. Whereas if my phone is out, I know that there's a problem and that there's something not
The only
connecting.
one
Yeah,
I've
I'm
watched
not.
all the way through was Stranger Things, actually, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. Stranger Things and Game of Thrones again. I
Mhm.
would every episode. I would say, yeah, there were some probably better than others, but every episode had something to offer. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the long episode. Even Game of Thrones and Stranger Things, I still break them up
Yeah,
into
me too.
chunks.
Me too.
Oh, it's not Steamy Van. Oh, Rebecca Roanhorse wrote my favorite short story in the Vampires Never Get Old. I think it's called anthology.
Yeah.
She wrote this Lost Boys story that's excellent, and I've been meaning to buy something by her since. So thank you, Marlene. That is my.
What a great name as well, Roan Horse.
I
Isn't that a
know. I don't.
fantastic surname?
It sounds Native
Wow.
American to me, but I don't
It does a
know
little bit, but
whether it
it's a
is or not.
fantastic name.
Ooh, something thoughts on bingers. Yeah,
That's
honestly.
true. Yes, I
And
agree.
you dedicate your life to it, like you become consumed by it, and then you end up really bereft at the end because you've spent like a week of watching it, and then you think, like with Wednesday, I did that. I watched as many as I could, and now I've got to wait like 3 years in between series or something. It's
I have the
just,
same problem with a series of books. If it's a fantasy series, especially,
yeah,
which I have to be in the mood to read, and I prefer high
yeah.
fantasy or cozy. I don't like romantasy, but um, is that the big gaps in between? So then you've got to reread the book before the next one comes out. 'Cause you can't remember what's happened, and I'm getting old, and I might not live, so I don't start reading them until they're all out. You know what I mean?
I prefer that. And I did when I was writing the Mina books, I had that moment of thinking, do I write a summary in the beginning? Like, what is going to help people?
I
And I
know, but
don't
your books
personally,
aren't 700 pages long, my
well, no, this
darling.
is true.
So
You can
you
reread them
read a
quickly if you
couple of
need.
hours. It's a bit different if you've got a 600 or 700 page fantasy. You've got
Yeah.
to reread before you get to No, it's too much.
I drop in key facts as well. I do the sort of summarizing by first couple of chapters. Hopefully, will catch you up to speed on who were the previous baddies and did we come out unscathed or not. You know, remind people of what position everybody is in. Yeah, really disappointing, Caroline. Real big no from me. And
Yes, I agree.
I know it did last summer so much.
Yeah, I agree completely.
That's a good one. I think they did reference that in Scream as
Terminator
well.
2. Actually, you're
Yeah.
right. Second one's better. Yeah.
Isn't that a certain period of film though? Like Scream, I think there's an argument. I'd say Scream 1 is still better, but Scream 2 is excellent.
Yeah.
And like, you know, Terminator, we're still talking of a certain era of films. I know that was a bit earlier. And
like, what we're talking like 80s, late 80s, 90s, aren't we? Yeah. There was just an era of film where the first one's good, but the second one just improves it.
yes, and that's how it should be. That's
It
really
doesn't
what I was.
change. It doesn't change it completely. It just improves what's come before.
I think the theory of sequels is what they said in Scream. Like it was something like the audiences want more of the same, but they also want bigger and better. So they want the same thing that they fell in love with, but then you've got to up the ante.
More deaths, more explosions, more everything.
That's a good call, Tom. You're good at this game.
Yeah,
I felt like we need Tom on the quiz team for which
yes,
sequels
I
are better.
agree. Back to the Future 2 is much better.
What's great in Back to the Future too, I love the callback that because you've time traveling, as soon as you introduce the different timelines, it's epic.
Yes.
I mean, come on now, Marlene. Actually, though, Home Alone 2 is not a bad shout.
Home Alone 2 is a good film. I mean, I love the first one, but the second one's equally as good, I think. Yeah.
I think so. I think they're on a par because, again, it took what was really good about the first one and amplified.
Shoved it in New York.
Yeah. I mean, awesome. We've got the picture book of both of them, and it's interesting reading them to Nathan. He does. I think he sees them as one continuous story, which is again what a good sequel should feel like. I think
it kind of is, isn't it? I suppose. And I watched both of them over Christmas, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did just to test whether they were 4-year-old appropriate, and I was like, not quite. Not for mine anyway. Some people's maybe, but for mine, I don't think we're quite there yet.
It's a bit slapsticky, isn't it? So I suppose this kind of, there's violence in it, but the violence is funny.
Yeah,
well, it's not. It's horrible. I mean, if they were hit like they were hit, they would die. But it's kind of slapsticky.
Like that.
Yeah,
I think he'd like that. It's more the like there's a bad person in the neighborhood who's chopping people up and stuff. Like I don't think he'd get. I think he'd get too much of that, if you know what I mean. And then when you actually find out he is a nice person, whereas in the picture book it just says there's a mean old man in the neighborhood, and then he meets him later, and that's what I love about the picture books. They just really sanitize it. So like Goonies. It's really lovely. The only bit I don't mention is the bit where they go.
Oh my god, I love the Goonies.
The picture book is absolutely epic. It really captures the good bits of the film. And there's one bit where they say it's a stiff that I just miss. And every time Nathan goes, "Why is that man standing up with his eyes shut in the fridge?" And I'm like, I don't know.
Hide and seek.
Yeah, that's a good one actually. He's gone to sleep playing hide and seek. Nathan would buy that.
Hide and seek, just ignore it. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I am writing a new book, which is what I'm going to do a bit of. Although I'm very tired. Finally got into it. Normally, I don't struggle getting into a book. And this one, I was having doubts like, is this good enough? Do I like this enough? And I've reframed it slightly and I'm now loving it and having fun. So I'd kind of missed two characters needed to meet each other earlier on and spark off kind of a relationship that they could then be like good cop, bad cop, and because they're solving a mystery, and I'd not introduced them, so I was missing something, and I was like, what's missing? And now I've introduced them, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's actually good now.
There you go. Clicks in. Just clicks
in.
So
I'm writing missing scenes that should have been there in the first place, and then I'm moving forward. So that's my plan. So what are you reading, Sharon? I assume you're reading, unless you're going to go rogue.
I am starting.
Oh yay! I'm going to read that with Shelley at some point. We need to.
And this is my Black Crow Publishing special edition. Which is beautiful. Look at the inside.
Yeah, that's amazing. I kind of wish I'd ordered that one as well. Although,
well, strangely enough, nice. I ordered two. Yeah. I've never done this before in my life. I pre-ordered the Waterstones one back last year. Forgot about it, so ordered this one because it was gorgeous, and then the Waterstones ones come as well. So I'm sending the Waterstones one to Amelia because I don't need two copies. Nice. And they're both signed, and this one's signed and numbered. I think, yes, 597 of 1,000.
Oh, that's nice that it's numbered
So
as well.
yeah, so it's yes, I thought I don't need two. That's ridiculous.
Well, I can't wait to hear what you think because I started reading it on the train. I'd got the Kindle edition, and then I've not really been reading on my Kindle since. And it wasn't a fault of the book, it was just me, like not picking my Kindle up, and I've been really busy. So I kind of forgot about it. So I'm going to try reading the actual book.
Kasha loved it. You know, Kasha.
Yeah, I've heard
She
really
had it.
good
She had
things
an arc
about
of
it.
it, I believe,
Yeah,
and she absolutely. She was one of her favourite books of last year, and we have very similar taste when it comes to horror. So I think that I'm going to enjoy it. I love Grady anyway, and the thing I love about Grady is that every single one of his books is different.
yeah.
He doesn't write in a theme. They're all horror,
Mm.
but they're all every single story is completely different, and I love that about his writing.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
looking forward to it.
he's got quite a distinctive style where I think you could
He
tell
has. There's
it's
a humour
him.
to it. It's horrific and horrible, and he goes into some really dark and emotional themes, but there's a kind of a dark humour to it. He has a dark humour in there. I love his writing. I love it.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think each one has a very distinct sort of theme and vibe,
yeah.
as you say. So there'll be ones that people like more than others.
My best friend's exorcism is still my favourite of all of them I've read. But which I believe was also Kasha's, but this one is her favourite now.
Oh, really? See, I really
So
like My Best Friend's Exorcism. However, I didn't, for me, without giving too much away, I didn't need the framing tool. You know, the
yes.
how it starts and how it ends. I pr would have preferred it without that, I think. For
Yeah.
me,
It's the
that adds a
nostalgia that does it for me because it's the 80s, and obviously I
yeah,
was the same age in the 80s.
yeah.
The nostalgic references to me is what pulls
Mm.
that book up, you know? So yeah. But I've
And
loved
it's
all of
personal
them.
taste. Anything that
Yeah.
makes me feel melancholy, I don't like. Whereas I know a lot of horror fans eat that stuff up. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like
Grief
horror
horror
is
is the
just
new thing now, which is a bit difficult for me at the moment. But
yeah.
it's a big theme in tropes in horror, especially in indie horror, is grief horror.
I tend to
And
steer clear of it. I really don't. Generally,
it depends
it
how it's
create
done, you know,
yeah,
but if it's done for
it,
purely salacious kind of
yeah,
shock value, then I don't want to read it. Like I don't want to
yeah.
read something that's going to disgust me. Don't like
Mm.
splatterpunk much for that reason. I don't want to be disgusted. I want to be intrigued and I want to be freaked out, but I don't want to be disgusted, right? Same
Yeah,
thing.
that's interesting, Caroline. It's nice when you think, oh man, this might be the one. I did
Yeah.
really enjoy Southern Book Club's guide, but it's a while since I've read it, and I think the only thing with that one is I think I wanted more vampires. Like, I don't know
I
whether.
found it too dialogue heavy, that one for me. It
Yeah,
was too dialogue heavy. I loved the women in it. I thought they were
yeah,
fantastic. But there was so much chatting.
mm,
And I'd have preferred more story and more vampires, yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, the same thing. I loved Horror Store. I thought that was such a clever
yeah. Horror
idea.
Store. It's a very lean story as well, very short and
Yeah, to the
concise, and
point.
I
To the
like that.
point. I liked Outside a Haunted House. Oh, that was a really good twist. I know you've not read that one because of the kid in it, but
Yeah, kid, and
the really good twist on a haunted house story. I really enjoyed that.
I think what I
And
might do is pick it up at some point because I got past all the funeral and stuff, which is what I was really struggling with, all the grief things. And I wonder if after that, people have said that it kind of picks up the horror after that
it
bit. And I
does.
think,
It does. It doesn't really I don't think it's any horror till at least halfway through, which is unusual for
yeah,
Grady. Perhaps he
yeah.
was trying something different. Save Our Souls. I love that book.
Is
That's
that
the
the
one that
rock band one? Yeah, that was really
absolutely
good.
loved that. I really enjoyed that. And so he just writes really unique things from a different perspective, and I like that.
Yeah, I've
Um,
always liked that idea of like, like selling your soul for
yeah,
something.
agree.
It's
Yeah,
always interesting show. Yeah,
yeah.
same. I
Too
mean,
much
I did
dialogue, not
enjoy.
enough vampires. That's why
Yeah,
it
I did
is.
enjoy it, but yeah, my criticism of vampire books generally is that I want more vampires. So yeah, it was going to be that for me. Oh, that's a shame, Caroline.
Oh,
Gutted when
that's a
that happened.
shame. That's a real shame. Yeah.
Okay, I think we should do a sprint, do some work slash reading. I'm going to do one work sprint and then I think watch Dexter probably. Um, so I'm going to put us a 40-minute timer on, and I'll see you on the other Hello. I think I've left Sharon on mute. Hello. I ended up going to watch Dexter because I got to a really good point when I was writing. Like I got to like an end of chapter point, and I really like ending, on a cliffhanger for myself, so that when I come back to it, I kind of feel excited about the next thing. So I think I wrote about 1,000 words today, among other
That's
things.
good.
I'm happy with. I try and write 1,000 words a day minimum on days where I'm busy, just because it keeps the momentum going. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So how are you getting on with Grady?
Oh, I love it. I did pop off briefly because one of my indie authors' books has just been picked up for a TV series.
Wow. Oh, that
And
was at Alan Shivers.
it's
Yeah, I
going to
just
be
saw him.
called European Halls. And I knew it, well, we're very good friends, so I'll be to read for him. And he just did a bit of live to catch everybody up. It's still in production, obviously, and pre-production, and it's all very exciting. So
Yeah, that's
European
amazing.
Halls, it's a trilogy, slasher trilogy. I was his first ever reviewer of European Halls. He sent it me as a PDF, which was really dodgy when he first sent it to me. I'm so proud of him, and it's going to be called Crimson Halls.
Oh yeah, that's a good title.
But yeah, so he just wanted to do he's allowed to talk about a little about it. I mean, obviously but he's going to be, on the writing team, and so yeah, it's a big production, international. I'm very
Oh wow,
proud.
that's amazing. So
Yeah,
how's he got? Because obviously, if he's indie, that's not kind of come through an agent. How's that come about?
just I don't really know. Really, he had one of his books. Was it the Namaste Slasher, which is his fourth one? The bloke who directed not Friday the 13th picked it up, randomly, and loved it, and got in contact
Oh,
with him,
amazing.
and actually blurbed it. And so I think his kind of connections through that. It's like anything, it's who you know, isn't it? And then he met
Yeah, that's
somebody
great.
else, and then he met somebody else, and he's just kind of come about like that, really. And I'm incredibly proud of him. Yeah, I'm so
That's
happy for
brilliant.
him. So I mean,
Yeah.
anything could happen. You don't know, and he's very honest about that. These things take years, so anything could happen. But the fact that somebody's even interested in your work is such a boost, isn't it?
It's an
So,
accolade, that first step, and the fact that he can talk about it is a good sign that it is, it's more likely. I know lots of people who've got like, early stages of stuff, and they generally don't talk about it until they're a bit more certain. So at least he seems to have passed a couple of hurdles.
and I think it's because I've got friends in the industry, the music in the film industry as well, and slashers are coming back. Big slasher comeback coming in the next couple of years. So a lot of writers should really jump on that. Slashers are going to be the next thing. They're going to come back with a vengeance. And you've seen it a little bit in traditional publishing with Stephen Graham Jones and Paul Tremblay. Do you know that kind of the slasher vibe coming back? It's going to be a big thing in the next couple of years.
Yeah, Josh has done really well with that.
Yeah.
I would love to write a slasher, but I've not had the idea yet of, that you want the actual slasher themselves to have like a unique hook about it. And maybe I need to
Yeah.
spend a bit more time thinking about it, but it's something for years. Probably an adult one rather than YA, I think.
I mean, Alan. I mean, obviously that's not his real name, but Alan's. All of his is he loves the slasher genre. European Halls is a slasher. Namaste, um, slasher is a slasher, different slasher, and he's got a new trilogy coming out now called Killer Vocals, which is all about girl band
That's a
slashers.
good title, isn't it? I love
And
that.
that is also a different slasher, but kind of Namaste Slasher is the prequel, kind of the spiritual prequel to it. So he just loves the genre, absolutely lives in it. So Europa Halls was originally billed as a YA horror, but it's not. The rest of the series is adult. It was
Yeah,
obvious.
I've only read the first one so far, and I would say it definitely cants towards adult with the
Yeah.
themes and the level of the killing and stuff. It isn't like Say Karen McManus, I think, dabbles in the slasher. I'm just going to sneeze. Sorry.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah, I think that people like her and Cynthia Murphy and Catherine Foxfield, theirs all have the touch of the slasher about them, but they haven't got the adult kind of visceral gore, and you tend to have adult characters in, I think, as well. Even if it, say, like Scream revolves around teenagers, I think there's a real emphasis on the adult characters as well in those films. I think that YA just generally doesn't do. YA generally gets the adults out of the way, doesn't it?
The other two books in the European Horse trilogy are far more brutal and visceral. They're really brilliant. The second one has some shots that I can almost, there's shots all the way through that I can see would look so good on screen. So I'm very proud. I'm very proud.
And it's interesting. I like the TV show as a format for a slasher as well. I think, like, I enjoyed the Scream TV show. I think it can be done really well because it's almost like watching, say, 7 Scream movies, but shared out over a TV series.
And I think it gives you, as a writer, if you're involved in the screenwriting part, which it will be, gives you a chance to flesh out the characters more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you've got more time. So it's you get to know them in a more intimate kind of detail. All the things that go on in the background that you don't get into the book. It's happened in your head as a writer, but it just doesn't flow in the book. So
yeah, I think that's really good. And obviously he's somebody who's worked hard and kind of honed his craft and written lots of books. It's really nice to see him getting that.
He's only been a writer for just over a year.
Yeah, but he's written all that stuff in
started
in that time.
September 2023. September 2023 is when he contacted me to read European Halls, which was released in the October. And in that time, he's released 4 books, 5 next month.
Wow.
So
that's the difference, isn't it, between indie and traditional publishing? That's unreal.
But just because he's got, he's had years thinking of, do you know what I mean? He's had years thinking of this stuff, and then he's just decided, I'm going to self-publish. And that's the thing with indie writers. They tend to be very prolific because they've tried for years to become traditionally published, and they couldn't because horrors are really difficult. It's a really difficult thing, I think. Traditional publishing, especially the 5 big publishers, find horror difficult.
Yeah, my agent and I've chatted about this because my books tend to lean towards that, and she's encouraged me away from that side of them.
Yeah, more thriller than horror.
I'm writing at the minute, because she said, although you see people like Grady Hendrix and Rachel Harrison having tremendous success, the horror authors that have tremendous success are such a small pool of people. And she said,
and they're also. I mean, I'm reading Grady now and I'm loving it. He's a brilliant storyteller. I love the girls already. Hate the people who run the place. It's brilliant. He just sets up characters so well. But it's not really visceral horror. It's not. It's psychological horror. And then Paul Tremblay's the same. So is Stephen Graham Jones. It's not a visceral kind of horror. That's the kind of horror I love. I love this kind of horror too. But I like things that are brutal. I'd like, I that sounds awful saying I enjoy that kind of thing. But
no, I know what you mean.
The worst of human nature. Horror is a way of safely exploring your feelings, of safely, in a safe place, exploring your worst fears. That's why people love horror, right?
Yeah, and I think that indie tends to be the space where it is more raw and brutal because traditional publishing, publishing quite often, not always, but quite often does kind of sanitize some of it to some extent, I think.
And it's such a shame because, when I was growing up and, in the 70s and 80s, you had like Hammer horror and Pan horror, and that was proper horror. I mean, proper brutal, horrific, supernatural, vicious horror. And that was traditionally published.
Yeah.
So it's a shame we've moved away from that. But so I think when indie authors decide they're going to go the self-publishing route, they've probably got 7 or 8 ideas already. And they've already written 7 or 8 books by that point. Do you know what I mean? So then it's just, finessing them and editing them and making them right. But they've already got several ideas. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they might have tried, to get an agent, say, with 3 different books. So they're sat there. I do know some people who do both, like they do traditional and self-published. And what they tend to do is they kind of test the water with traditional publishers And then if it doesn't work out, they kind of self-publish those books. So they've still got an avenue for those books that didn't find a traditional route. So it's really good. I've wondered about trying it for a book at least, just to see what it's like doing it all myself.
The
But I'm
freedom
not at
of
that
it.
point.
I mean,
I'm not at that point yet, I don't
I
think.
have a lot of indie horror author friends, as you know, and most of them would never ever consider being traditionally published, even if they were offered. Not now they've done self-publishing. It
Yeah.
gives you complete autonomy, complete control over what you release. You have to do everything yourself. That's the disadvantage, or the promotion. Everything is you, but having to have complete control over your work with no, you can do everything yourself. They would never give that up now.
Yeah,
So
and it's a tricky
it's
one.
whatever suits you. It's whatever suits
It is.
as an author. It's whatever suits you. And I mean, some really successful traditional published authors started as indie. Olivia Blake's the most famous one I can think
Yeah.
of. She started as an indie author. Do you know, I think Atlas the Atlas 6 was originally published as an indie. Do you know what I mean? And she's become a very traditional. I don't particularly like it myself. I find it difficult, but she's become a very well-known traditional published author, just because so many people picked up the indie that the publishers were like, hang on, what's this? What have we missed?
Yeah, I was
And
going to say that. I think that I know that Rosie Talbot was going to self-publish her book.
yes, exactly.
She tried
16
to get
cells.
an agent and not, and then she met Scholastic. So she did the other way around. She got a publisher and then got an agent.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think being indie published isn't necessarily a sign of as indicator of the quality, and it's an indicator of
No.
whether it was considered marketable at that point, isn't it?
Yeah, and most indies don't have agents. They usually have an editor, and there's quite a few editors within the indie publishing world. I edit occasionally. I used to edit for magazines and stuff, but so I'll occasionally do it if they've stuck, But there's some really good indie editors. So it's just that you don't have the kind of input of a lot of other people, you know what I mean? So it's quite solitary, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. I do love the fact that like my new publisher, I've had two editors do structural edits, and they've both really honed the manuscript in different ways,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be the book it is now without them. And also it's a tricky one because you've got to get your books out there yourself. So if you sell 100,000 copies and you're indie published, that is amazing. Whereas if you're traditionally published, you actually won't get masses of money. Like that sounds like you're going to get hundreds of thousands of
No,
pounds, but you're
because you've
not.
got to
You're
pay
going to
for all
get,
those things, haven't you? You've got to pay
yeah.
for the editors, and you've got to pay for your agent, and you've got to pay for they've got to make money as well. So there's more people in the pot, isn't there?
Yeah, and I don't think people realise that authors, even if they've got a tremendous deal, will get less than £1 per book, and quite a lot of the time you're getting a lot. The bigger the publisher, the less the cut you tend to get.
I think there's very few authors. I think people don't realise, even the ones who people would term successful, very few of them actually do it full time. They can't afford to.
Yeah.
Do you know? I think there's probably only a handful of really well-known authors who actually can afford to give up their job and do it.
And quite often it's supplemented by a partner's income as well. Because I know people who they do it full time, but only because their
partner's
partner has got a real, their partner's got a really
real job. A real
job. Well, the amount of times
Yeah.
that people say to me, because I work in a school 1 day a week now, I teach.
Yeah.
People do say to me, "Oh, is that your working day?" And I'm like, "What?" And I'm not working every single day and every single night, because writing books is not hard work, not at all.
And also, aside from that, Amy, you're a mother, so you're working 365 days, 24/7.
Honestly,
that's also a job. I think people forget that
Sharon.
too.
Sharon gets it. And yeah, and honestly, I do think that full-time mums deserve more credit, because I love the fact that I've got other things to do. I think if you're doing that full-time, it must be so intense.
I know.
I like having other avenues for my brain to go down.
Oh, I'm going to be a granny.
I saw on your social media. Congratulations, Sharon. That's lovely.
Yeah. So So he's obviously my stepson. So I said, and he's always called me Sharon, even though he did ask to call me mom, and I said, no, darling, you only get one mom. Do you know, you can call me whatever you like. He says, we're not having that silliness with the baby. He says, my mum wants to be called Nana, and Ella's mum wants to be called Nanny, so you're Granny. I went, all right.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm very excited for them. And it was that they found, everything's fine the day before Carl's birthday was just a lovely touch.
Yes,
And
that is.
yeah, so lots of babies this year. My neighbour next door, her granddaughter, was supposed to get married at the end of June, and they've had to bring the wedding forward to February because she'll be 8 months pregnant at the end of
Oh
June.
gosh.
She says, I want
Oh.
to fit in my dress. I went, fair enough. And then my nephew's girlfriend is due as well in July. So lots of babies this year. Lots of babies, lots of weddings.
Yeah, that's exciting. Things seem to come in waves like that, don't they? It's really lovely.
Oh, babies are always a wonderful blessing. Doesn't matter
Yes.
when they arrive, doesn't matter.
You know what? It really doesn't. We've had sort of family news of that nature recently, and I've just said, look, love, you're in love regardless of
Yeah, the
at what
they've
point it happens.
my stepson and his girlfriend, they've been together since they were 15. They're 23 now. They met at school, and yeah, they'll get married eventually. I don't know why
Well,
they
that's the
think a
thing.
baby's cheaper than a wedding, because it ain't.
No, it is not. My wedding was definitely cheaper. But we had a fairly cheap wedding, to be honest. We were back in the day when Disney weddings weren't expensive, so I was lucky. I got
It's
that.
Disney wedding. How lovely.
Yeah, and it was a package. It was $3,000 all in for the day. You paid for the food on
Wow.
top. But yeah, you can't get weddings for $3,000 now, can you?
Can't even get to Disney for that now, can you?
No, probably not. Probably a park ticket costs that much for a day now. But
But as for
yeah,
the book, yeah, I'm about 100 pages in.
yeah, wow, you're fast, Sharon, especially because you had other stuff
I
going
had
on.
no, I had read about 20 pages,
Oh, okay.
25, so I've probably read about 70, 75 pages.
Oh, it's still good use of 40 minutes plus popping off to see your friends. Lovely
It was
news.
only
That
for 10
sounds great.
minutes.
Oh, yeah, this is true. That's great, Marlene. Oh, it does sound really good. I don't think I've
It's
pre-ordered it
really,
yet. I need to
I've
check.
obviously beta read it for him, and it is really, really good. It's really good. Yeah, you'll enjoy it, my darling. And the cover's beautiful. Beautiful cover.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he has great covers in general, doesn't he?
Yeah, he
Do you
uses a
know
local
what?
artist him, I think, and so all of the covers have been done by that person. And he kind of they do a mix of kind of real people and
Mm.
art. So he's kind of they look like movie covers. So yeah, he does have a really good relationship.
The hardcovers especially were really lovely, but I read it on my Kindle because it was on Kindle Unlimited, I think, when I briefly had Kindle Unlimited. So
Oh, I love my
I read.
Kindle Unlimited. I couldn't live without that.
I don't read on Kindle enough at the moment, but I'm going to try and go back to it because it would be cheaper for me, I think, overall. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, Tom, I agree. Whatever suits you. Do you know? And for some people that you've got to do whatever's right for you, my darling. Absolutely.
The marketing side is really tough at the moment. I know I've not
Yeah.
got enough of a social media following, and potentially from my books that I have, but I don't think I could grow beyond the readers I've already got with the social media I've got, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So I wouldn't self-publish it at the moment, I don't think, just because of that. Whereas like Rosie probably could have done at 120k followers or whatever she's got on TikTok.
Yeah.
That makes a massive difference. It is.
Yes, I know. It's gonna
There's a
cost me.
question. So is that the one that's too far?
Yeah, I'm not coming to Canterbury, Tom. Now, sadly, we're showing to meet you. I love Tom has a story in Bloody Hell, the anthology of UK indie and Irish indie, because we can't forget Lee, who's in America this weekend. And he's got a story in there. He's a brilliant writer. So I'm not coming to Canterbury because I live in Devon, and it's too far. It's like a 6-hour train journey for me with 4 changes, and I'm disabled. So sadly, I won't be going to this one. Although I will be supporting it in the background, which is what I always do. It's me and Trish started it, of course. So I will be at the one in September. So which is up the road from me.
Yes, that's handy. At some point, I need to arrange a holiday to come to your neck of the woods, Sharon, but I've not managed it yet. It's quite a long way with a little person in the car, but Kev and I
Birmingham was
have done
such
it.
fun. I said to Shelley, I said, I'll just have to arrange to come up to the Midlands at one point at the same time you're going to Shelley's, and we can all meet together.
Well, soon. Shelley, have you come across Shelley Mack on social media? You might
I
have done.
love Shelley Mack.
Yeah, so
How's her
Shelley,
mum, actually? I need to check if her mum, because her mum
yeah,
was so
I would, yeah,
cool.
check in. Yeah, she'll update you. I think they've had a little bit of news.
Good.
So her and Naomi Gibson are hopefully going to come down to the Midlands at some point. So maybe we need to coordinate you coming up because they're both in
Yeah.
Scotland.
Oh, I love
So
Naomi as well. I love her stuff as well.
yeah, so when that happens, we'll have to try and I'll
Yeah, if I can, I will. It's a bit of a trek for me, but I can try.
yeah, well that's the thing. You can only try. Or Sharon does.
Oh my
I
God. It's on now, isn't it, Caroline? I adore Claudia Winkleman. I want to come back as Claudia Winkleman in another life. And it's brilliant. All the machinations, all the I love you, I hate you, and then they're like horrible to each other. Do you know what should happen, Trey? The 5 people who are left. I can't say that because I'm going to spoil it for anyone. I can't tell anybody. That's fine.
okay.
Love
Keep your
it.
theory. Keep
Love
your
it,
theory
Caroline.
inside.
But yes, I am trying not to watch it. It's recording. And then when I finish on here, I'll watch it before I go onto any social media. See what
Yes, good
happens.
idea. Claudia's fingerless gloves, iconic.
She's just brilliant. It's really quite dark, Traitors. You know, the missions they do. It's really
Yeah, I
quite
need
dark.
to watch it.
It's so fun.
I have you read Lie or Die by AJ Clack?
No.
So it's a YA book that's kind of inspired by Traitors, and it's very much that
Ah,
premise. It's really good. It's a group of people who are chucked into a situation, it's being filmed, and of course everything goes really badly wrong. These people that are pretend dead end up being like, real dead. It's really
paranoia.
good. I'd highly
Brilliant.
recommend it for Traitors fans. And it came out timed really well. I think it ended up being Welsh Book of the Month at Waterstones because
Lie or die.
Lie or Die, and the author's called AJ Clack, and she's lovely as well. I met her at Yelk. Very, very good human being.
Okay.
And yeah, so they ended up timing the release of the book with I think one of the series of Traitors, and it did really well. Kind of alongside that. So yeah,
Oh,
I'd recommend it for
okay.
Traitors fans. When you've got a Traitors shaped hole in your life after.
Let me stick it into my list. I might see if I can get it on. What I've been trying to do, and I'm failing miserably, Amy, I've got to be honest, is I'm trying to buy more on Kindle so that if I like the book, I'm going to buy it. But then, do you know, I've had 7 books delivered today. Then I've had my book box, which was another 3. And then I went on to the Waterstone sale and bought 5. So I've already failed miserably.
I mean, if it's
Oh,
going to bring you joy, though, Sharon, yeah, I do tend to read stuff on NetGalley. However, I always sit there and curse the formatting, and depending on the book, I don't think that book
formatting is so bad.
it wouldn't be too bad. I don't think it's when there's mixed media and footnotes and stuff. NetGalley goes really wrong. But yeah, I think that one will probably be okay. But yeah, buy it. Help Alison out. I'm sure she'd
It
appreciate
depends if you
that.
love the book. Like I got The Drift, the CJ Tudor one, The
Oh yeah.
Drift, as a unformatted arc
Mm.
from the publisher. And that was dreadful. The
Oh no.
formatting was dreadful. But I was so excited to read it. I managed, do you know what I mean? I ended up putting it on my iPad in the end and putting it the other way around, and then that seemed to sort out the formatting. It's already been set up over 2 pages on a Word document.
Yeah.
So I managed to figure it out, but I was so excited to read the book, I didn't care.
Yeah, you just do. I had one Grady Hendrix one like that, and it was terrible, but I did read it. It was the Final Girls Support Group one, I think, and that
Yes,
did have footnotes and a little bit of mixed media in, and they looked terrible on the
that's
like
the only one of
read.
his books I don't actually like.
Yeah, I expected to like it more because it was a
Me too.
slasher. I thought it was good, but I didn't like. I couldn't tell you anything about any of the girls or
And I remember, the reveal and thinking, oh, yeah, it's the only one of it. I don't hate it. Probably was a 3-star for me, but
yeah.
it's probably the least favourite of his.
Yes, I mean, I think you maybe should, Caroline, just to enjoy the experience more. Right, I think we should do another sprint because Kev's patiently waiting for me to watch Dexter with him.
Yeah, I need
Um,
to have a little comfort break.
yes. So I'm going to turn my screen off, I think, for this one. This may be the last one because I can feel my voice is disappearing on me.
Oh,
Um,
darling.
I'm all right. I don't feel too bad now. I felt really rough earlier, but I've woken up a bit. But yeah, we'll do another 40-minute sprint and then we'll have a chat at the end. So I'll see you then.
Bye, loves.
Hello. Sorry, slow off the mark. I was watching TV. Had to run across the room. So yes, I finished watching Dexter. It was good. However, Kevin and I have predicted something about
Oh.
5 episodes ago, so it tends to. I still enjoy the journey when I predict a twist or a reveal, but it does, and it's a big moment, and you're like, oh. It was. I think it was me that guessed that one, and Kev was like, oh, you got that. You were right. I'm on a bit of a roll at the minute. It does ruin stuff slightly. I can't switch off that part. I can't switch off that part of my brain, like the prediction thing. When I can't just sit back and watch something, I'm like, oh, but if they do that and they said that, then they're probably that. And also, I do the elimination. Well, yeah,
I love
I
a
do the
puzzle.
elimination game. I think of what type of part would that actor like to play? And
Yeah, me too. I do that thing.
Yeah, because it's a prequel as well. Like, the trajectory of certain characters, so certain ones, that they wouldn't be involved in something, so you can eliminate them. So yeah, it's good fun, but it's like active participation when you watch TV with me and Kev. Like, we sit there talking all the way through it. So we're enjoying that. We've just started watching Mean Girls the musical, which it's confusingly just Mean Girls, but with songs. It's like virtually the same film. So I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I thought they might have done something different, but like a lot of the lines are the same, and the whole structure seems to be just the same film, but plus songs. So it's okay, but it's not anything new and fresh and inventive that I thought it might be. But the girl who plays Moana is absolutely incredible in it. It's possibly worth watching just for her. Her voice is just unbelievable. Yes, that's as much as I've got to update. How about you, Sharon? How's the book going?
Yes, about 150 pages in now. It's very, very good. It's very, it's kind of, it's sad, obviously, a home for unwed mothers. It's set in 1969, which is the year I was born.
All right.
And in America, with the Vietnam War going on and the riots and stuff, and it's a group of young teenage mothers, unmarried mothers, which was a big sin then.
Yeah.
And how they just kind of come to rely on each other. It's lovely, really. It's a great story. Great story. No horror yet, apart from the horror of real people, obviously.
Well, yeah. Does it feel like heartwarming? Like, Grady's books kind of have moments of levity and moments of like hope in humanity. Like, does it feel like that? Because that was my only worry with this one, whether it might feel too sad.
Well, yeah, and I thought that too. And he's quite stark. And do you know the main character, Neva, she's called, but she's called. They all have different names when they don't use their own names in the home, right? But her name's Neva, and she's just devastated that a family, her dad has turned on her. Do you know, she doesn't understand why. She doesn't understand why the boy doesn't want anything to do with her. There's a kind of a naivety to all of them that they don't really know why they're being punished when wasn't just them. And there's some humor in it. One of the characters, Rose, she's called, is very, very militant. And then there's like one who's virtually, a very young child who's slightly mentally handicapped, and she's very, very, she's feral. And there's, but there's kind of, yeah, it feels like that they kind of band in together and they realize they've only got each other. And then when the baby comes, they're taken away to the hospital. They have the baby's taken off them straight away, and then they're sent home. So there's this kind of, at this point, they've just got each other because their families are disown them until it's all done. So it just, yeah. I'm enjoying it. It feels like an historical fiction in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's very true for the time. But it doesn't feel heavy, which I thought it might do. It doesn't feel really depressing and heavy. It just feels a little bit sad. It's like sad, but what's going to happen? Because something's coming, right? So they're going to find something in a minute that's going to turn this all around.
Well, yeah, and the title makes you think that what they're going to do is find their power.
The devil, probably. They're going to conjure the devil.
Yeah. And the power that's been denied them.
They're not badly treated. They're treated with kind of, They're cared for, they're fed, and their medical needs are met. They've got social worker who just basically wants them to sign over the babies, because they're probably selling them, let's be honest. But they're not treated unkindly. They're just not really treated with any care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like they're being well looked after. Well, they're being looked after, but not particularly well.
No. Yeah, it's really sad, isn't it? I think it's good to shine lights on periods like that. It's interesting that Grady has chosen to tackle a social issue like that. Like, I don't know. I think it seems more head on in this one, it sounds like, than what he's done in other ones. And to write about young teenage mothers as well as a man is quite bold.
And I think he does, and I think he does write women really well.
Yeah, he does.
And yeah, I don't know why that is, because a lot of male authors can often struggle with how they write women, but he writes them. They feel really real. These girls, what they're saying and what they're feeling, and the fears they have, and the hopes they have for the future, feel real. So
Yeah, I think authors have got to be able to write outside their experience. Otherwise, Grady Hendrix would be writing a 40 or 50 something man, however old he is.
yeah,
He'd be writing that character forever, and that's not ever going to be fun. Or so if he's doing it authentically and researching. I mean, in my upcoming book, I've got a character who's more different from me than anybody I've written before. And I think you've got to do it, because otherwise you get just stuck writing the same people. But
he just writes beautifully rounded women, though.
yeah,
In a lot of his books, the male characters can feel two-dimensional, whereas the women can feel very real. And he writes them like they're real people, and that's just it's nice to read. This is completely female dominated, this book, really. The doctor's obviously a man. Obviously the main doctor's obviously a man, but he's seen as quite cold and aloof and all about very, very straight to the point. And the homeowner's father is there as well, but they're kind of almost secondary characters to the women. So yeah, it's really well written, and I'm really enjoying. It's compelling. There's no little bits happening, but I want to know what happens.
I think that's all you need to keep you pulling through the book, isn't it? I now DNF books where if I no longer desire to know what's going to happen at the end, I just start reading them. If it's pulling you through the narrative still, that's what you want.
There's so many good books. There's so many good books, and you're never going to read them all in your lifetime. So why would you waste precious reading time on books that just don't hit you the right? They might be perfect for other people. Do you know, it's like all this, this Onyx Storm thing that's going on at the moment. It's not my thing. I wouldn't read it, but to see the joy of other people finding something like that, the absolute excitement of it coming for them, it's wonderful to see that people getting so excited about reading. And sometimes you'll pick up a book and it's just not the right time. It might never be the right time, but it just doesn't hit right. You know what I mean? So I think that's the same thing, isn't it, really? Yeah. So I'm enjoying it.
God, I need to message Shelley and find out when we're reading it, because
I should probably finish it tomorrow.
Yeah, all right. That'll be good to know what you thought of it, Sharon. Tell me how hopeful it ends up being. The only thing is the baby thing. I think I might find hard.
It is harsh, and I think that, and he's gone from it for a very different angle here. In the fact of all of the girls there's only one girl who dreams of keeping her baby. The others really want the baby to be gone so they can go back to their life like it never happened. And I think that's probably quite a common feeling for a young girl at that age.
Yeah.
But I'll deal with this. I'll get it over with, and then I'll tear that page and I'll start afresh. It'll be like it never happened. And that's really the angle he's going from.
Well, it's a totally different thing, isn't it? Of like wanting to have a baby and deliberately trying to get pregnant versus it being kind of thrust upon you and not.
Yeah. And also
being so young.
And I think there's also, this set in a time when there was a certain innocence. There was no sex education. Do you know what I mean? Often the sex they had, they didn't really know what it meant.
Yeah.
They didn't really understand what it could lead to. Do you know? So they were just told don't do it, but they didn't really know what they were not supposed to do because nobody told them what sex was. So there's a kind of a naivety to them that they know that the baby's inside them, but they just, somebody's just asked how it comes out. Basic sex education. So it's just like, it's there's a naivety to it. So it'll be interesting to see what that changes, whether they decide they want to keep their children or not. So, but I'm fascinated. It's fascinating to me, and obviously based on a real life, isn't it? So
Yeah, I don't know whether it's based on genuine real life or whether it is a specific home or specific.
I don't know, but I think it's quite common in those days.
Yeah.
There's kind of child and mother and babies where they worked basically, where they worked all day to pay for their keep, and then at the end of it, the babies were taken away and adopted, and they just went back to their life. I think that was quite a common thing, sadly. But
Yeah, scary.
I'm enjoying it.
Good. Yeah, we're gonna finish watching Mean Girls, I think, and then I might read a bit more of this Gillian Flynn book because I am intrigued by it. Although I don't know whether it's a book to read before bedtime because it is a bit like it might give me not nice dreams. But yeah, I think it's time to head. The comments have gone quiet. I think everybody's gone to watch Traitors, so you do the same.
Yes,
and watch Traitors before
it's just finished. It finishes at 9:40, so I'm going to go and watch it now before I go online because I don't want to be spoiled.
Oh yeah, definitely. You've done well.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody just popped into the comments. Let's read that and then we can sign off. That's really good.
Yeah.
So, it's lovely to have like a creative outlet, isn't it? And to figure out how to characterize somebody. I've never really done much drama.
I must just show you my bookmark quickly. My friend who's a tattoo artist made this for me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah. Did they sell them?
No, she just made it for me.
Oh wow.
It's so pretty. Yeah. It's in my book.
Oh, I've just got a gorgeous bookmark, a Dracula one. I bought this Biblio Blooms Dracula book vase for my table, which is amazing. And they'd also got these little like plastic bookmarks, so I've just treated myself to a nice new bookmark as well.
I love a bookmark. I love a bookmark. I've got loads of different ones, and I switch between them. So I've got this one today as well, which is also lovely.
Oh, that's cool.
That came in a book box with loads of other stuff. And then I've got one here that's like the Spooky Book Club. Somebody sent me that one. I've got a Jack Skellington one I was using at Christmas.
Oh, that's cool.
I do have themes according to what time of the year it is.
Oh, I've got them everywhere. I need to actually sort them out because
I've got pots full of them. Yeah,
I need to do. I mean, I do have a pot, but I think they're also scattered around my house. And there's a small person who quite likes pulling them out of books, which is helpful because I don't think he realizes the significance of it's there because you can't remember what page you're on.
Well, I don't actually need a bookmark because I can remember what page I'm on.
Yeah,
I've never needed one in a book. I can remember where I left, but I realise that's not normal. That's not a normal thing.
I can sometimes, if it's a really good break, like a part in the book or a chapter number, I'm usually okay. But if I break off mid-chapter, I'm absolutely lost. I've got no idea.
That's what's lovely about this book. There's obviously chapters, but within the chapters, there's story breaks.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. You can, I think it reads quicker when that happens.
I like, I only learned when I got books published, I like a dinkus. It's a weird word, isn't it? But I like it when you've got the little things to break.
Yeah.
I always ask for nice things to be mine as well. So I've had bats, steaks. I can't remember what I had in the second one. What did I have as my dinkuses? Bats, steaks, and then did I have a knife?
I can't reach the books. They're up there.
Oh no, I should remember, Sharon. I can't remember in my own books, but yeah, I think I'll ask for something nice in this new one as well. Oh yeah, it was a raven. Well done, Kev. It was a raven.
Yeah, I love it. I think that it makes the book read faster. Do you know when you have those breaks? I think you have a really long chapter. You just kind of like, oh my God. I mean, I'm quite weird. I'll stop reading in the middle of a sentence. So, but I know most people like to read at a natural break. So
I dread long chapters, and it does impact on. I'm reading Hell House at the minute, and I'm enjoying it overall. But I'm finding the chapters. It doesn't really have chapters. It just has little breaks, and then like a third into the book, it'll be the first chapter or something like that. And I find that really affects my reading experience. I much prefer a chapter. I love a bit of white space in a book. To see that I've got
Me
white
too.
space coming and I can stop there is like prime for my brain. I don't think I can properly cut off at that point in the story unless there's a chapter break.
And most people can't. I realise I'm weird, and I like that book. Although I think it is very dated, isn't it?
Do you know what? The horror is excellent when you get to it. The actual
Yeah.
ghost encounters are amazing, but then there's a lot of like describing of dining tables and stuff and
Yeah,
walls. And I'm like, I'm
and
not into that.
and the yeah, I think the attitude's very dated. I think the attitudes, but certainly later, you'll notice it as you get later on.
Yeah.
The
Oh, the attitudes to women are quite disgraceful,
are
and
quite
the
horrendous. And it gets worse, and so it's just but it's very dated. But yeah, the horror's
yeah.
good, you know.
It's
It's
interesting
just,
though, because I think one of the aspects that does play into it nicely. I didn't really like the way the ghosts are described is quite graphic, and I didn't think it needs to be as sexual as it is. However, it
yeah,
does work that one of the female main characters, because of the attitudes of the time, they're just completely downplaying her and like they're just dismissing her, and yet she's coming more and more into her power and more into herself. And I think that's really interesting because I don't think a modern author would have done it in the same way. That is just because of the attitudes of the time, I think.
you've got to read it without understanding, haven't you? It's like what moving
Yeah.
point horror, isn't it? It's
Yeah, do
very
you know
much of
what?
its time.
Generally, it doesn't bother me. The only book that it has bothered me is Marked by PC and Kristen Cast. I read as a teenager, and at the time, I remember thinking the language was bad and stuff like that. But reading it as an adult, the things that those teenagers call each other are just like that have never been
Horrendous.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not even going to repeat but it's just vile the way they talk to each other, and it appropriates Native American culture and just in a way that's never been, sometimes you read it and it's like, oh, it was the 90s. Actually, at the time, that was seen as okay. And apparently the authors now have edited the ebooks to take a lot of that out because they've realized, but it's just too late. Like those physical books are all out there, and it's really unfortunate that for whatever reason that's slipped through the net, because it just rarely does stuff like that affect my enjoyment so much that I have to stop reading, and in those I just had to.
It's because even at the time that was unacceptable.
Yeah, and I just don't
Do you know?
know. I mean, and as a teenager though, I don't think I didn't know, say, the historical connotations of some of the words used. So as a teenager, I
No,
probably would have glossed over it. I think I'd have thought, I don't understand that word, so I'm moving on. Whereas
yeah,
now I'm like, well, I know that that's come from Native American culture, and that's really not
yeah,
okay to just for a white person to be casually talking about that. And then and it's not even just that, it's talking about gay characters in a really horrible way and stuff like that.
yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely books on my I won't read list, but Hell House, yeah, so far I'm managing it.
Yeah, I think that it's such a good story, and the ghosts are so good, and it's such a good haunting possession story that
Well,
you
it was
can
the Stephen
kind of,
King. There was Stephen King quote on the cover. I was like, yeah, if
yeah,
Stephen King
it's a
thinks this,
classic
go.
for a reason. Yeah, but you have to read it through the lens of the time, really.
That you do. Well, I'm going to let you go and watch your Traitors, and let me know how your Grady read goes, and I'll let you know when I start it.
Yes, I will. I'll probably
I think I
finish
need
it tomorrow. Yeah.
to take my contact lenses out and go and watch Mean Girls. So I
Oh,
will
bless
catch you up with you
you.
soon.
It's been
Thank
lovely
you,
to
Sarah,
see
for coming
you.
on. Thank you, people in the comments.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.